Well, we're all back once again, and I'm fucking pissed today. Oh man, I'm mad. I'm so fucking mad today. Holy shit, I am livid. I am livid beyond belief because I've just had a grade A experience of not knowing how to turn on my fucking camera. So let's maybe fix that first. Hold on just one moment while I figure this portion out. Then I'll explain why. Why so mad? Why? I think it's a little bit too big there. Jesus fucking Christ. Let's fix this shit up, huh? How about that? How about that? Just one moment. Let's figure this one out. But I'm mad, man. Oh, man, I'm fucking mad. I am so fucking mad right now. Holy shit. I've just had a grade A experience in why you should never, ever, ever, ever put your fucking money in Europe. Holy shit. Good luck getting that goddamn money out. That's not happening anytime soon. Jesus Christ, man. You think your money is yours. You think your money is yours. But it's not. It's not. And holy shit, it couldn't be a better advertisement for Bitcoin or the cryptos. Nah, just fuck cryptos. We're talking about the Bitcoins. We're talking about the damn Bitcoins. I see Tom Krown in here. Good to see you, my man. Good to fucking see you. By the way, guys, if you're not familiar with Tom Krown, check him out. And more importantly, I do want to say Tom Krown is actually leading the good fight right now. He's leading the good fight in which he is taking down perhaps a known scammer, actually, of which, hold on, I'm trying to fix my damn thing here. Just one moment. I can't talk and do the same thing at the same time. I'm like actually half retarded, I think. It's true. It's true. It is what it is. There we go. Okay, yes. I'll explain the Tom Krown situation in just a moment here. Perhaps it is best shown by going to his X account. If you're not familiar with Tom Krown, he is actually one of the most prolific YouTubers out there, and more importantly, he's been on James Wynn's case recently. Apparently, this guy started his own rug pull or something like this. I don't know the full story of it, to be honest with you, but Tom Krown made a bit of a flippant post, I believe, on X. You can see it right here. He says the #1 worst trader. Maybe that's just an opinion. Maybe that's why he's going after you. I don't know. But regardless of that, he's saying that James Wynn has launched and rugs a new shitcoin within just 30 minutes. Crazy idea. But then the plot thickens. The plot thickens as James Wynn come back and he says, my lawyers have collected everything on you. Okay, first off, in case you don't know, in case you're not familiar with the legal system, a little bit of crypto drama here, but in case you're not familiar with the legal system, it's actually very, very costly to retain lawyers, for anything that you want to do, especially in the US, which I'm assuming that he probably is in. If he's not, I mean, it's still probably, very expensive no matter where you're at, but he's basically threatening him with a defamation case, which, for one, I mean, when it comes to defamation, it's one of the most difficult things to actually prove in court. Like, even when you have a legitimate defamation case, it's already like very, very, very difficult to prove. I mean, it doesn't happen, basically. It's one of the most difficult ones to do just in general. And then on top of that, he's right here saying that he is contributing to him losing millions of dollars from various exchange deals, ones that named you, or whatever the fuck that means. Anyways, what I think is very interesting about this is that it actually reveals something that probably this guy does not want revealed, because if he's losing millions of dollars from exchanges, what does that imply? What does that imply? What does that imply? I mean, my mind can only speculate. Look, I don't know the truth of the situation. After all, I'm just a bystander here. But that is a pretty interesting admission in a way, isn't it? Because it is not uncommon for exchanges to pay influencers to show wildly amazing positions, big positions, that is. And strangely enough, those positions are not real. Strange way of promotion, isn't it? But yeah, man, I want to give a special shout out to Tom Krown, who's in this community right now. Just check him out on X. Give him some support on this. I don't think he honestly needs it at the end of the day, because this should be like really fucking cut and dry. Nothing's gonna. I highly doubt anything will occur based off of that. But yeah, man, if he does go through with that, I think it'll be to his own dismay. Why? Because, well, there's a little something called discovery whenever you enter into any sort of a lawsuit. Discovery is a process in which both sides, primarily the accuser in this case, the plaintiff, I think it's called. Not really great with my own legal speak, but they actually have to disclose like all of the details of the case. So he would actually have to speak exactly what he's talking about in this case, which is probably going to be a big issue for him, at least maybe not legally, but certainly, community-wise. But then again, I mean, people don't really seem to care about scammers in the space, or perhaps it doesn't matter as much. I mean, there's certainly many who have been going on for, for a long amount of time. But at the end of the day, man, it is just a little bit of crypto drama during what is more or less a very, very boring portion of this market. But yeah. Excuse me, sir. Who cares if some degenerates got rug pulled? Hey, look, I'm right with you. At the end of the day, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm more or less bringing a little bit of a light to this, just because, I think it's interesting that this. I mean, what he's basically implying is that he lost promotion deals from exchanges due to that post, which implies that he has promotion deals with exchanges. And what is he known for? He's known for putting on absolutely wildly massive positions, somehow getting more and more money to do more of the same. And where does it come from? My mind can only speculate. I have no idea. I'm only guessing. I don't actually know the answer. But perhaps you could come up with your own conclusions based off of that as well. Put it that way, man. But yeah, anyways, like I said, I'm fucking pissed on my own this morning. I found out your money is not your own. Oh my God, your money is not your own. Look, if you try to send money outside of your European bank accounts to anywhere outside of the EU, you will find very, 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 very quickly that it is not your own money. You cannot do with it as you please. In fact, even if you're sending it to yourself, that's right, I'm sending my own money to myself from Eric Krown to Eric Krown. Nope, sorry, sir. We need to make sure that the government is okay with this. It's fucking great, man. Anyways, beautiful. Fucking beautiful. What's up, Mr. Van Doysen? Good morning to you. Ayusha, good morning to you as well, man. Biff the Bear, good morning. Coca-Cola, Arts by Otsby, Erica Foynmeyer, hopefully I'm saying that properly. Arib, and there he is. Tom Crown says TLDR is crypto drama that we need. It is the crypto drama that we need right now, because why not, man? What else are we going to do during these boring times? We do have an event coming up a little bit later today. I don't know if it's really mattered in recent times, though. It's going to be the FOMC meeting, of course. And then I think tomorrow there's some sort of a Trump meeting with China, something like this. So markets perhaps do move on these sort of things, but ultimately Bitcoin more or less still range bound here at best, and at worst it's putting in what would be a bull trap. But as of right now, I still think that Bitcoin does have a short-term chance. Some short-term hopium is still very much valid, still very much alive. And, while I do think that there may be one more washout move to very low 100s, it's looking more and more like it would be an opportunity, at least on that first pass. Probably going to be a big bounce at least. But yeah, as long as Bitcoin's kind of holding this range over here, I do think that the longer that it does this, the more and more likely that it will resolve bullishly. But again, I want to see it really stay in this range for another month, maybe even 2 months. The longer the better. The longer the better, as has been the general situation throughout this whole bull market cycle. You can see Bitcoin has spent many months in sideways ranges while it does reconsolidate and get ready for reaccumulation into continuation, which has happened once, twice, thrice, maybe even 4 times over here. This is very much characteristic of this current bull market. You can see that this current range has been lived in for the past 1, 2, 3, working on 4 months, as we're nearly at the very end. Yeah, 2 days left. 2 days left in the month of October. Yeah, October. That's right. And we've seen this, like I said, many other times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months over here. 1, 2, 3, still kind of same range over here. 4, 5 months in this range over here before resolution. So, again, what's another month in the same range before resolution? Perhaps very, very end of this year / early into 2026 still looks pretty damn good to me. Anyways, I'll fast forward to the comments section right here. But Krown, I want alt season now. Unfortunately, alt season's been canceled, but it got canceled a long time ago. In fact, if you do want a very, very quick and clean chart as to the representation of alt season, it would be this chart right here. This is the total market cap versus Bitcoin. And as you can see, it continues to remain in its overall downtrend. And the trend is indeed your friend on this one. Overall, in my opinion, alt season is not in crypto space right now, or it's not in crypto space for this year. Where it is in traditional markets. If you're looking for alt season, it was in front of your face in fucking traditional markets, typically in these Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin related stocks, but more or less crypto related stocks, which are now blowing off their tops and coming down significantly, as they should. led by BMNR, which I think people are going to find out the hard way that even if you're in the traditional market space, does not mean it's legitimate. That's right. Just because you have an ETF, even if you're still a shitcoin, you are still not legitimate. And you actually have to have real interest in your product in order to have real results in traditional markets. And unfortunately, for most things, that is just not the fucking case, man. That is just not the case. I mean, shit, even Bitcoin right now is kind of struggling, in its own right. But yeah, let's go check out some traditional markets. Speaking of, I do want to see what the major indices are opening up at. What do you know? New all-time highs in NASDAQ futures right to start off the day. We can see it heading up to about 26,309. New all-time high. Crazy idea as it does, once again, resolve another consolidation to the upside. We spoke about this coming into the early portion of this week saying, hey, it's another breakout. This is another higher low. Just let the trend be your friend. Yes, this is getting pretty crazy right here. Overall, no doubt about that. However, I would say that the direction remains to be the upside, and this is very likely to continue even more to the upside as volatility is still at kind of muted levels, in my opinion. In fact, it's not just in my opinion. I mean, statistically speaking, this is rather low compared to what we have seen, on major tops in the past few years. So, I do think that this one is going to continue to run away for a little while longer, and then, we'll find another local high and probably play at another consolidation. But yeah, still bullish. Same thing on SPY futures over here. What do you know? New all-time highs as well. It does make me a little bit concerned, running up into an FOMC meeting, because a lot of the time you get like an opposite reaction on these sort of events, but that doesn't always happen. And ultimately, even if it did come down a little bit, I'd still be looking for higher lows. I mean, shit, man, really wouldn't take too much here. And again, for reference, the last higher low was where? It's all the way down here at about 65.80-ish region. So there's a lot of space for it to do such things. And I think that we are very likely going to see a 7 handle on SPY at some point in the not so distant future. On top of that, looking at some Coinbase action over here, it has been pretty interesting to monitor. I fucking hate that word. Why do I continue to lean on that word like a crutch? But it's my own shortcomings here, obviously. But yeah, Coinbase, is putting in a little bit of a swing high. Do you think that is probably going to come back down to this range low? But I'm not necessarily bearish on it. Again, these are just range plays. Overall, this does still look quite good to me coming into the end of this month. If this thing finishes anywhere above about 350, especially, that's going to look good. I'm not saying it's going to make new highs in November or December, but it holds a range, it holds consolidation, and the upwards bias remains. Just probably take some time, just like Bitcoin, I'd imagine as well. What else do we have to look at before we get into this one? I saw someone earlier asking about Intel. I'll do that for my own selfish reasons because I do own this one myself. I've owned it for a long time, for many moons now, and we can see that it's actually made new highs for the past year and a half now, all the way up into the low 40s at $41.50. I think the question was, do I think that this is, or what do I think is going to happen in the short term? I think you're going to run into a local high in the short term relatively soon. Let's see, where's the quarterly at? Yeah, I mean, it is kind of running into this long-term trend line of destiny, but, this is not necessarily bearish. I think that it maybe pulls back a little bit, perhaps down to the mid or upper 30s. That's fine, but I do think that this one is ready to resolve this overall consolidation to the upside, probably in early 2026, although I'd be quite happy if it happened earlier than that. We even see over here, as I'll once again reference a little bit later in this video related to Bitcoin, this Krown oscillator that I've been working on. This one's actually freshly crossed into the upside right here from the exact same level that it did cross up and actually bottom at in July of 2009, coming out of the last major bear market slash slump slash devastating market cycle low, and that was quite literally this low over here. So moving on from there, I would look at this as very likely a macro low. I do think that things can come down in the short term, sure, but ultimately I don't expect it to violate this $18 or $19 low. Hopefully ever again, but that is also coming off of a major moving average, the quarterly 200 simple as well here. So that would be a good reversal point, I would say. And this is also coming on the back of regular bullish divergence here as well. So it's like, yeah, you might get pullbacks in the short term, but the main message I want to be having is upwards is the direction here. Wouldn't be surprised to see this thing around 55 to 60 bucks in the next couple of years to come. I think that move could take a long time, but yeah, I do think it's kind of up and to the right now, as that one has successfully bottomed. Now, moving on to Bitcoin, let me get my notes out as well because I did not actually prepare this one. Actually, in fact, before we go into Bitcoin, let's look at gold as well. gold has come down significantly. I still remain with my top call on gold, but I do think it is going to bounce here probably significantly as well. Keep in mind that any sort of a major top is almost always going to have something resembling a bull trap. And in this case, if it is going to bull trap, I'd be looking for a move somewhere to around about 4,200-ish region. And if you see a move to 4,200 followed by a swift rejection in the next day or two to come, that's a really, really, really strong signal in my book that this thing's going to be spending a long time going sideways and down. But for right now, you know, you do have a high end right here. You do have continuation to the downside. You have extremes on volatility. So this is all the makings of a major, major swing high. Wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be a market or a market cycle top just yet. I don't like saying that, in the early days. It's potential, I guess. But, at the very least, I do think that this one's going to be playing a long time of sideways and down. But again, long term, this is not necessarily bearish. I mean, shit, man, this thing could come all the way down to 2,500, which I actually do think it probably gets somewhere down around there. And that would still be a higher low on your very, very high term time frames. But keep in mind that, this one also does have bearish divergence building on the quarterly time frame as well. So this is very likely going to be it for a long time to the upside for gold. Again, this thing has been basically straight up for how long? Basically since 2018, but even in the more recent time, since September of 2023. So, after 2 years of straight up, more than 2 years of literally straight up, I think that it's relevant to believe, or at least it's not too crazy to say that, this thing is probably topped for, might be like 6 months to a year, maybe even longer than that. And then it's going to take longer to even consolidate after it does come down and find that low. So, I think the fun times here are done for a while. I'm not necessarily saying that gold is like bad long term. In fact, I will be looking to bid long term after I do think that it's found a low, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I think that's going to be with a 2 handle at minimum. At minimum, I don't think it's going to come down much more than that, to be honest with you. I'm a monitor lizard. That's right. I'm a monitor lizard. I'm basking in the sun. I actually went and had a haircut recently, and the guy had a massive fucking lizard. I think it was a monitor lizard hanging out in the room. And honestly, it was kind of cool. Oh, snap. What's up, Swanee? Good to see you, man. We got some snapping action going on right now. And I'm going to take a sip of this water. Oh, snap. The lizards are here. Nicholas Carolyn says, how do you reconcile the idea of Bitcoin to range for another month or two with BBWP so low? Look, I mean, the BBWP being low can certainly imply that there's going to be like a big range move here. I mean, first off, it's not that low in the daily, but I'm assuming you mean like the weekly. That could still imply like a range move here. Like if Bitcoin got down to $100,000, you might see that explode for a small stint, then come back down and then reload, and then you get a potential upside move. I think that's perhaps what it might end up looking like, But yeah, that would be a good counterpoint to what I'm saying, because when BBWP is this low, you don't expect it to remain this low for, super long time. And on top of that, you're expecting kind of a big move from there. So yeah, that would be a good counterpoint to what I'm saying. But I think that you might get like a small explosion to the downside first, then followed by upside later. I think that would be the bullish view of it. So yeah, that's kind of just my opinion on it. Anyways, let's see. I'm actually just trying to slowly keep up with some of these chats over here. Here's a great question. I can tell you right off the bat, I don't have a fucking answer for you. But hi, Ms. Krown. Would love to know your opinion on Michael Saylor's Bitcoin prediction for 2040. Price of Bitcoin will be 13 million. Do you think it's possible or completely moon rubbish talk? I mean, it's probably completely moon rubbish talk. But from what I understand, Michael Saylor is basing these like really astronomical targets off of a CAGR value for Bitcoin that's somewhere around like 30%, which I think is a fallacy. I think that this is a big fallacy. I think all the people who are quoting the CAGR for Bitcoin as like a selling point are kind of doxing themselves as, well, either deliberately misleading, because I don't think that they're stupid. Like, these people aren't stupid, obviously, or extremely, extremely immature, because Bitcoin's CAGR will only go down from here. It'll only go down from here. And the problem with looking at Bitcoin's CAGR is that you are looking at the full history of Bitcoin, in which there were some years where we saw gains that you will never see ever, ever, ever again. Ever again. There's never going to be a year. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say never, because I mean, crazy things do happen, right? But for example, when you're calculating those CAGR values, you're including fucking 2010 over here. Guess what happened in 2010? Up 41,500%. Like, should that be in the calculation? No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to fucking happen. You know, if you even take the more recent ones, I don't think it's going to happen as well. They're all getting smaller. They're all getting smaller. You cannot expect a 2017 like rally in 1 year for Bitcoin ever again. That's 1,330%. So including that in the calculation, I think is really, really, really misleading. Yes, I understand that can work for traditional markets, but you have you have like more than 100 years of history for that. And it actually has been quite consistent, to be fair, at least for traditional markets. But it's a completely different game than Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin's commodity. Traditional markets, or led by SPY, are equity. So it's a completely different thing. It's not a fucking commodity. You know, compare 2017 gains with 2023 gains. That was 150%. Even that's pretty. You know, I think that's quite unrealistic for Bitcoin in the for a year now as well. Like, we can only expect the gains for Bitcoin on a year-to-year basis to go down from here. It's only ever going to go down as the asset matures. That would actually be a signal that the asset Bitcoin is legitimately growing. That's the only. That's the only way that it can occur. So these people who are quoting these like mega CAGR values of even 30%, which adds up real fucking fast, and expecting that to carry on for the next few decades, I highly, highly doubt that's going to happen. I would be happy to take the other side of that trade. Now, look, I'm not fucking complaining if that does happen. And I think if Saylor does get his prediction with 13 million Bitcoin by 2040 or whatever it is, I don't know exactly what it is. But if he does, it's not going to be because of Bitcoin's CAGR. It's going to be because the US dollar just failed, like went into hyperinflation, something like that. Possible, sure, but I think that's what you'd have to be betting on. And it's like, is Bitcoin even, like right now, 13 million sounds like a lot, but in 2040, is 13 million going to be a lot? You know, if that sort of scenario happens, it's like, no, it's not going to have great purchasing power. Yeah. So again, I don't know. These people who are quoting the CAGR values, I think it's extremely misleading. I think that it shows that they either are deliberately misleading to get other investors excited, or they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because that will not continue on. I can absolutely assure you of that. It will not be that high. It will only ever go down from here, which is still good. I mean, it's still going to grow. It's still going to grow a lot. Like, for fuck's sake, man. To me, it would make a lot of sense for Bitcoin to have a similar market cap to gold. And right now it's about a 10x differential. So that means Bitcoin could 10x from here, and it wouldn't be that crazy, at least in my opinion. I mean, I don't see why Bitcoin and gold shouldn't be at least somewhat similar in market cap. It's just more or less a function of time, I figure, at this point. But yeah, that'd put Bitcoin a little bit above, or actually at like 1.1 million. I mean, I think that's good as well. That's fine. But yeah, we need some oh snap action. Mr. Swanee saying every talking head calling for higher Bitcoin is just talking their book and interest. Go fuck yourself with your paper BS. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Because at some point, like, I really am starting to be of the opinion that, look, I think the Bitcoiners have been right. The Bitcoin has been right about so much. And I used to, yeah, I'm right there with you at this. At this point, I think I've been radicalized enough to be on the same page as you, Swanee. In the past, I've been very dismissive of these sort of things. I didn't think it was going to happen, back in 2018, 2019, 2020. But once 2020 happened, I had a big learning lesson, and I had to admit, I'm fucking wrong. I'm fucking big time wrong about the actual fundamental value of Bitcoin. It really does have fundamental value. And at the end of the day, if we fast forward, 100, 200 years from now, the US dollar, I mean, it's certainly going to lose more and more value. It might still be the world reserve currency. It's possible. I mean, these things do take a long time to collapse. But even at that point, the real reserve, what everyone wants to measure against, is going to be either gold, Bitcoin, something of that sort. It's going to be real things. That's what the world is, once again, moving back towards. So at the end of the day, the denominator, in my opinion, should be Bitcoin. It should be Bitcoin. So it's like, if you have $13 million worth of Bitcoin, who gives a fuck? I just care about how much Bitcoin that is. So yeah. Anyways, only 21 million golds. Wait, is there? Once normies view buying Bitcoin like buying S&P, it's mostly going to be near 1 million, I think. Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I think it's already kind of getting there. It seems very, very mainstream at this point, at least in a way that it wasn't before. Let me turn up my mic. I just realized it's quite quiet there. The vibes are high. The vibes are high. Yeah. We're actually going to have Swanee back on relatively soon. He's going to be coming back on, and I think about 2 weeks from now, or somewhere around there. I think it's November, early November, November 10th. I'd have to double check with him. But yeah, we were just hashing it out the other day, so I'm quite excited about that. Anyways, getting some actual Bitcoin analysis here, talking a little bit more about the short term perhaps. And let's, as always, start it off with, wait, dude, God damn it. For some reason, in my early morning rage, I did not write any notes. Great fucking job, Krown. Anyway, start off with some good old daily price statistics. Wednesday is slightly in favor of positive closures versus negative closures since this bull market began, but Wednesday also has the highest positive returns for positive closing days at just over 2.5%. So if Bitcoin were to play that out to the upside, that would give an area of interest around 115,800. Admittedly, that would not be back above yesterday's high, so that is kind of problematic for the short-term trend. But if Bitcoin were to get around there, again, you would have very likely another scalping opportunity for a bit of a pullback, at least on that first pass. Yesterday, we seen it play out yet a fucking again. Holy shit, we saw it again. We saw it in real time to the upside, and then later on in the day, we actually saw it hit to the downside, and you get a nice little bounce off of that bottom boundary right there. Again, if you are a short-term time frame scalper, I cannot recommend this script enough. Yes, I am biased. Yes, we sell this, but we also offer up 7-day free trials, and shit, man, at this point, like, you can trade it manually, you can put it on a bot, you can do all sorts of crazy shit. But at the end of the day, I hope the people who are using this are making all kinds of money scalping, because those first passes alongside the average returns range high or low are like on the first pass. It nearly always happens. I can think of one example where it didn't, but it did later. So it's like you would have made money anyways. But yeah. That's available for you in the description below for Teachable with the Caretaker's Indicator Suite. And again, to the downside, the current range boundary would be about 111. So if you do see Bitcoin inch its way down to 111 today, be looking for a bounce. Oh, snap. Be looking for a bounce on the first pass. Something like that. Anyways, moving on from there, let's get into a couple of the things over here. I do want to acknowledge that there is actually potential for hidden bearish divergence on that last local high here compared with the local high that we saw from Sunday. But at the same time, that potential hidden bearish divergence is not available on CME over here. So, if we don't see it on CME, I usually just discount it. And I do see that Bitcoin is bouncing off of that red 5 EMA to start off the day as well. So that is a good indication that Bitcoin is going to try to push through here. And I do think that we have a pretty easy and obvious setup going on, similar to yesterday, but we can actually move down the point of resolution to the upside just a small amount. But if Bitcoin can trade back above, in this case, I would say yesterday's high now, especially close above yesterday's high, then this short-term range would be resolved to the upside, and I would be looking for a move somewhere around about $1.20. But still, $1.20 is a big line in the sand. I still think that there is a really good reason to be looking for a correction back down to very low 100s, about 102 to 103 region at least, as long as Bitcoin is below 120. What path does it take to get there? I don't fucking know. But at some point, I would be looking for a return somewhere down around there before any sort of mega massive move to the upside is initiated. Again, this setup over here has not gone away. This one is still valid. It's still very much there. And it would suggest at minimum that we're going to see, like I said, some move down to that green moving average at 102,500, dyslexia speaking again, within, usually happens relatively fast. This has been very consistent throughout the full history of CME. And of course, on spot, it goes to the past 8 years as well, where this happens relatively quickly. In some cases, it's taken up to about a month. Maybe this one takes its fair time as well. But look, until Bitcoin actually hits that green moving average, it's going to really bug me, because that's the exact same thing that happened before when Bitcoin was running up to that current all-time high of $126,000 on spot with the 5-day setup over here, which brought it back down to that low. Or was it the 5-day or was it the 4-day over here? Sorry, it was the 4-day. My apologies. Yeah, it was the 4-day. This one fired off all the way in early September. Bitcoin rallied up to a new all-time high, barely a new all-time high, but yeah, it was a new all-time high, and then came smashing back down on that next period to fulfill that minimum test once again. So I just, I really want to highlight these things because it keeps you honest, and it keeps you, and it keeps you from getting carried away when those setups are active, because at the very best, we have to be, or at least I have to be expecting, another move back back down somewhere around there, at least, before any sort of like major, massive breakout to the upside. Now, at the end of the day, just because it's worked out perfectly for the past 8 years doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. I do expect some of these things to fail. It has happened in the past. In the early days of Bitcoin, it absolutely has happened. But again, when we reference statistics, I'm always going to favor the thing that, has a very strong history, especially recent history of happening. So yeah, that is in there as well. But yeah, it's a pretty simple day in terms of analysis. Basically, if you can trade back above yesterday's high, I'd be looking for that move to 120 first, then perhaps come back down. As long as you're below yesterday's high, maybe that move happens from here first. I imagine we're probably going to see this predicated upon today's event with the FOMC, and then perhaps tomorrow's event as well with the China meeting, because that's just what the market likes to use as an excuse to move at the end of the day. So keep an eye on that. Until then, I think it's going to be a lot of waiting, and we don't even get the FOMC meeting until I think about 2:30 today Eastern Standard Time. On top of that, just to add on to the validity of of yesterday's high as like a major pivot point, we can see that's also the 5-day HPDR meeting right here as well. If Bitcoin can trade back above there and reclaim it on this next period, that'd be another good indication that Bitcoin is going to potentially run at least to 120. But I mean, I guess there is potential to run up to like 130 from there without that corrective move. But again, as long as you're living below there, I guess that would be the next sort of lower high. It's not super helpful, I do understand, but at the end of the day, when we do have events kind of hanging overhead, I just want to make the analysis as simple as possible, give out a couple of sort of major areas of interest and what they imply if they are hit or exceeded or anything like this. Other than that, nothing's really changed here on stochastic momentum charts, I believe. I do want to bring up one thing, and I do want to give a little bit of a spotlight to this really quickly here. So yeah, there is another reason why I'm not so convinced that the low that we've seen right here is going to be the low for this current consolidation just yet. And what I'll be using to kind of illustrate that point is this indicator that I've been working on over here for the Krown Oscillator. At some point, I will actually put this in with the Krown Trading Bible program, so anyone who has that will get access to this indicator, but I still feel like I need to work on it a little bit more. But what I'm specifically focusing on here are these bottom blue dots here. I guess they're more like cyan, right? Like that very light blue, the cyan color right here. And what we've seen throughout this current cycle are two very characteristic things. One, on all of the major macro lows, like we see, should I get rid of this chart? Yeah, let's get rid of this chart. We don't need it anymore. All right, let's do a whole fresh new one and mark off all of the major points. Boom, there is a major macro low for this cycle. There is another major low, there's another major low, and there is another major low right here, and so on and so forth right here and right here. And you can see that on all of these, they were accompanied by this cyan blue dot. And what bothers me about this current run here is that while we did have some of these fire off when Bitcoin was at 108,500 in August, so, a couple months ago, we do not have these dots firing off on the lowest traded price during this consolidation. And all of the prior lows before this, all of the lows had those dots firing off on the low, So again, just kind of just quickly testing it with a visual, with a quick look of the eyes. Yeah, that has been consistent throughout all of the major lows in this current cycle. So I'd say that's, again, another signal that, yeah, we probably do get one more swipe at the lows at least, maybe slightly lower, but I really want to see this one fire off them dots, and then, oh, snap! Should be a big bounce at least, hopefully. But yeah, also of note is that this low here, that actually did print those dots, was not in the same sort of posture or stance as the other major lows, which were all the way down here, on those macro lows. So it was getting significantly lower compared to these two most recent ones over here even. So yeah, that does make me a little bit more concerned that this one is gonna, again, push off here. It just plays into my view that Bitcoin is still kind of in a corrective phase here, probably still has one more downside move, fulfilling this target over here at least. And then from there, perhaps it does just zoom back onto new all-time highs. In fact, I'd look at that as like a quite nice thing to do. But for right now, I'd still be more cautious, honestly, man. I'd still be more cautious, especially as long as Bitcoin's below 120. But that doesn't necessarily make me bearish. I'm not calling for this to be an all-time high or nothing like that, at least not yet. I just think that there's some short-term sideways and down, that's all. Anyways, that's where I'm going to end my Bitcoins analysis for this one. Let's actually get into the comment section over here. Let me see what FOMC starts in 3:15 hours. No, well, I'm pretty sure it's 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. But anyways, I'll go over to the super chats first. Then we'll get into the regular comments. Steven Schickman, as always, is first. He's looking at doggy daily, weekly. I'm sure things have definitely changed here. Let's see, a little bit lower than Bitcoin right now. Or actually, sorry, no. It's actually gained a little bit more on the day, 1.1. Let's see, how does that compare to everything else? About par for the course, a little bit better than some things. But still, you got that same sort of hidden bearish divergence drive right there. And as long as you're below that high, kind of be looking at that as likely to play out. And if it's likely to play out, then have to be looking for a move back down to these range lows, which would be about 18.5 cents or so. Give me some hope, please. Sir, I mean, look, like I feel like I've just been trying to say this for the longest time, and I really don't think that there is hope here, to be honest, man. Or at least like what defines hope for you? Because I think what most shitcoin enjoyers are hoping for is new all-time highs, right? And in this case, it's like, look, I think even for this thing to get back like to 40 cents would be a major win for it. I don't think this thing's making new all-time highs or anything like that. It's just been such a laggard during this cycle. It's just never a good sign. It's never a good sign in my book. So while I do think it's going to go down to the short, in the short term right here, I guess it's not really so much hopium. Like you're basically asking, is it going to pop back above that swing high from September? I mean, possibly at some point, but I think for the most part, just like Bitcoin, at best, you're going sideways and down here. Probably going to get somewhere down close to the bottom side of this range, whether that be 15 cents or 14 cents. I don't fucking know, but somewhere around there, I would think at minimum, you're probably going to bounce again. And I guess the hopium in your case would be that the bounce is going to be a heroic bounce, and the heroic bounce brings you back up towards these range highs, at which point I would actually say, yeah, that thing is probably ready to break to the upside. But again, if the hopium is for new all-time highs, I just don't think that that's the play on something like this. I think best case scenario is you get somewhere back around here, to be honest with you, man. But yeah, that's kind of what I'd be looking at on something like this. I do think at some point you will get back down around here. I don't think it's going to break down, though. I actually do think it will bounce again. So it's like, I guess you just don't lose too much in terms of US dollar valuation, but of course inflation is also killing you as well. So it is a loss, and it is opportunity cost massively lost as well. So things to consider perhaps, but at the end of the day, man, make your own decisions. That would be kind of the way that I'm looking at this one right now. Just sideways and down. I don't think it's going to like break down, but perhaps it does have a major bounce from there. I guess that's kind of hopium, right? Anyways, I'll move on from there, man. Hope all is well, though, sir. Pisa says, morning, Krown. What's up, man? XRP 4-hour daily and 3-day, please. All right, let's see. I got my XRPPs over here. Decent bounce, better than Dogecoin. And right back around that prior breakdown area of 271, which is actually very significant, but really need to see it close above this region to pop back into the formation that it broke down from. Is actually generally a pretty good sign. If that does happen, which I think would be initiated if you even just trade back above Monday's high, I'd be looking for a move to about 290. Maybe even $3. That would be that would be indicative of something else going on. Again, maybe that happens off the back of today's event or tomorrow's event. It's possible. You do get some crazy price action during these times, but long term, well, you're asking about a 3-day specifically. Let's go to 3-day. Well, is there potential for hidden bullish divergence there? Yeah, there actually is potential for hidden bullish divergence on this low, to be fair. You are getting lower lows on the RSI with higher lows on price action. So there is potential there. I mean, it theoretically could pop back up, but I'd really be keeping a keen eye again on that Monday high of 270. If you can trade above there, I think that this one very likely does head back up to 290 to $3. Maybe even it starts to initiate hidden bullish divergence on the weekly time frame and, really reclaims that prior range. But for right now, kind of at the mercy of the rest of the market, I suppose. If it does fail here, well, it's a long way back down to the October 21st low, right? About 2.25 to 230. possible as long as you're held by that green 55 EMA. But I don't know. For right now, man, I think you're kind of beholden to the broader market. Well, you can kind of say that about pretty much any shitcoin, right? Even Bitcoin in many cases is as well. Anyways, Lutfi Miss Muradova is here. What's up? Are we going to the moon from here or one? Are we going to the moon from here? 113. Like, is it moon? Is it? Well, right now it's below 113, so it looks like this question has already been answered by by Bitcoin herself. Or do we dump first to 110? You know, I really don't know. I am kind of biased towards a short-term downside move. I guess I kind of am, but you know, if it is going to play out this hidden bearish evidence, see what is daily stochastic momentum position to the downside as well? No, it's not. It's actually to the upside. So I don't have a clean call here for the very, very short term. Yeah. If I had to absolutely call it, I guess I would call downside, but I don't feel strongly about that to 110. And even at 110, you're going to hit the 200 simple on the daily time frame, so there should be another bounce on the first pass. What I feel very strongly about is that at some point you're going to test down around here, at least, which would be actually well below 110. So at that point, 110 doesn't really matter, I guess. It would be better if this did happen sooner rather than later. I mean, then you get that, you rip that Band-Aid off, and perhaps there could be real upside that emerges from there. But yeah, I would prefer, what I'm trying to say is I'd prefer that to happen the downside. If I have to bet on direction in the short term here, it would be to the downside, I suppose. But I mean, I don't have fucking open trades open, so I don't have fucking open trades open. Jesus Christ, I'm retarded. Holy shit. Redundant, sir. I don't have any open trades is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but if I had to call it, you know, I guess it'd be down. I guess it'd be 110 if it had to be between 110 and moon, because we're literally already below 113. So I guess that already kind of answered your question to begin with, I suppose. Hopefully that was helpful in some way. Fibbo Swanee says alt season just fiat season dressed in crypto cosplay. I mean, that's 100% exactly where I'm at as well. But even then, it doesn't even exist, man. Even this, like, we've seen plenty of fiat season for the past couple of years now. And what have alts done? You know, there's been a couple of sectors that have popped off, but for the most part, it's been, you know, it's been all just mostly down. So yeah, man. Aaron says tether dominance above 480, still a chance for a drop. Let's check it out. Where is it? Did it close above 480 is the real question. And it, yeah, it did. Is there still a chance for a drop? There is still a chance for a drop from here. I mean, this hasn't really solidified itself in either way just yet. But this is starting to look a lot more like a higher low to me, and you do have hidden bullish evidence come off this last low. So if it's going to play out to the upside, it does come from here. And again, we do have setups to the downside that are very, very high probability. So yeah, that's kind of how I'd look at it right now. Is there potential for it? Sure. But what would you need to do? Or what would be like an actionable thing to really declare this as, okay, this is ready for like a real downside move? And when I say real downside move, I mean back down to these lows at 420 or so. I need to see it come back down below Monday's low of 469, and close below there, like actually continuing this current short-term trend. But for right now, this is looking like a higher low, and major move now to start switching into a full-on bullish posturing as well, alongside hidden bullish evidence. So bias on this one has to be to the upside in the short term. Then again, I look at the 5-day. Okay, where did that one close? Okay, 479 low, closed 479. Yeah, that doesn't help. Yeah, so I wanted to see this one close below 479 in order for me to confirm bullishness, and instead it closed right at 479. I actually don't know how to interpret that. I guess it keeps both sides open, which is very frustrating, to be honest, like very fucking frustrating. But it is what it is, man. Sometimes the market doesn't need to exist to pleasure you. Nicholas Carolyn says link on the weekly and 3-day. Congrats on the marriage. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Link. Let's check it out. I imagine it's probably a very similar chart to Dogecoin. Yeah, in many respects it is. I don't know what the obsession is with the 3-day chart. I don't really get too much from it recently. But I'm looking for something that's obvious here. I'm not getting it just yet. I guess the obvious thing is on the daily. You still got a downtrend. You still have not reclaimed that Monday the 20th high. What was it exactly at, like 19 and a quarter or so, or just above 19? So Current trend to the downside. It's still topping out on a lower high. I guess my bias would have to be to the downside, back down around about 16 3/4. But I don't feel strongly about these right now, to be honest with you. Hidden bearish evidence potential, just like Bitcoin. But my major counterpoint to that is it's not available on CME, and those are the ones that do have certainly a higher probability to fail in terms of signals. So it's like, if I had to call it, I guess it's going to be the downside here as well, but I do not feel strongly about it. I would still say what I said before, in that if it can trade back above that Monday, the 20th high, I do think that this one could or very likely would rally back up to like 21, 22 bucks. But until then, yeah, it has to be a downside bias, and at least back down to these range lows at 16 3/4. And if it starts to break below last Tuesday's low of 16.73, again, the price action pivot right here, getting this one perfectly, at that point you have a resolution to the downside. And I mean, just kind of eyeballing a measured move, it's going to be somewhere around like 12, 13 bucks, something like that. Yeah. Do we have anything obvious over here? Perhaps, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe we shall never know. It is coming off some major movement averages as well. So it's a hard place for me to get bearish. And that's kind of why I'm struggling right now, because I don't know, you just generally want to bet on bounces, from major areas like this until like they've truly broken, and momentum is the upside on the daily. So there is that as well. So I think there is some hopium here. 5-day time frame turns up above 1791 as well. So yeah, we're not getting like any super easy calls here. So yeah, I'd just be going off of these pivots. I think that's the best way to handle a day like today, where you are going to have economic events in the background, and it very likely will be rather volatile. So I think that we're just kind of waiting around until that, man. Nicholas Carroll, or no, we already read that one, so we're all good there. Vibes are high says, left a super chat, but I couldn't post message. ZBCN. ZBCN. Okay, this is a new one. ZBEC Network. All right, it's a new one for me. Daily and weekly. And thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. At least it's the shitcoin that's actually gone up this cycle. So there's that, I think you can attribute that to the fact that it hasn't been around for multiple cycles. So but that is a plus. It's similar position to Linkcoin, just because it's coming off of the 200 simple here. I really don't like getting bearish when price is resting on that, just because you can bounce so many times before you actually break it. At some point, this thing will break it. It's a shitcoin after all. But for right now, it still has higher term time frame, higher lows. You're coming off of this major moving average. You're on low volatility, and momentum's about to flip back onto the upside pending tonight's closure, just here or higher. Again, we have an event coming in later today, so weird shit can happen. But look, if you see this thing closing below about 3.5%, okay, it's bearish. It's going to come back down somewhere around these lows that you saw from July. If by some act of God, which is possible for sure, probably led by Bitcoin, in fact, almost undoubtedly led by Bitcoin, if it pops back above your Saturday high of 0.4% or so, then I think that you're going to pop back up towards these highs over here. And this starts to look actually like quite constructive as something that would be, resembling like an ascending triangle here with a few higher lows, some very important ones as well. Something like this, governed by the 200 simple on the downside as well, which is good. But if you break that, then you lose that sort of formation. So fair enough. Like I said, today's event's very likely going to influence these massively. So I just focus on those two major pivots, and whichever one gets taken first, that's one I'd be rolling with. But for right now, this one is absolutely in a better position than 99% of other cryptos, relatively speaking. Now we have Chris Vella. He's looking at, man, you always have the newest shitcoins, sir. Or I don't know if they're new, but at least I haven't seen them before. This one is AIT virus. It's like anti-AI virus or some shit. All right. Honestly, if I'm going to play shitcoin roulette, I'd definitely much rather play newer shit like this. These are the ones that have a real chance to actually do those fucking moonshots. I'm not saying it's going to, but at least, these have a higher probability to actually do those sort of moves. I don't know, man. If you want to be looking for this thing to top out again, it's about at the area that you'd be looking for it to do that at, maybe a little bit higher around that 6.5 cent high. Again, today's later event will very likely govern this one, but I do see the double extremes derp play right here on volatility, which is almost always indicative of a real long-term reversal. And so this would be a reversal to the upside, which would be a good thing, I think. But again, with an event coming up later today. I really don't want to commit to one side or the other. What I could say is that as long as you're above about 4 cents, I guess I would kind of favor the upside. But you don't really have any real breakouts until you're back above about 7 cents on a daily closing basis. And at that point, yeah, this thing probably gets shot up significantly, like more than a 2x move, 12, 13, 14 cents, something like that. To the downside, a little bit more difficult here because you do have higher lows as long as you're above last Friday's low. But the second that you come back down below there, bearish, and probably just initiates this long-term downtrend of destiny. It's always good to bet on that for the long term for these things. But yeah, if anything's going to have a chance, I guess this would be it. But again, very, very much predicated upon today and tomorrow's event. But yeah, something like that could run, Gunnar has a nice super chat, but no message. So thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. But feel free to have a message next time, sir. All right. One moment. See, my phone's blown up. I wonder if, of course, yes. No, sending yourself your own money. Great. Fucking great. All right. Anyways. Wait, what? Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. All right. John says, GM, sir. And Elsa, what's up, man? AMD Daily Weekly. Nice. We haven't looked at AMD in what seems like a year or two. It's one used to be really, really popular. It was almost like a meme stock in a way, but, they're actually like a decent company, I suppose. New all-time highs, never going to hate that. Uptrends on all higher term timeframes, never going to hate that. Like fresh new all-time highs this month. I look at this as extremely good. Extremely good. Now let's just assume that by Friday this thing is still above 229, which I think it very likely will be. You might get a pullback in early November to retest that breakout point, which was your March 2024 high. That's very common stuff. I wouldn't look at that as bearish. I'd look at that as a beautiful place to probably pick up a position because this thing is probably going to continue for a long time now. Again, you are resolving at this point what is I look at this as like a 3-4 year long consolidation since 2021. All of this price action right here is a part of the same sort of formation, and you're resolving it right here. I look at this thing as ready to roll to the upside and be in an uptrend for a while on the higher term timeframes. You're seeing volatility rise up to extremes, which is good on a breakout. You want to see that. And the quarterly is just getting started as well. So yeah, and also momentum's fresh turning up here as well, even playing out this long-term trendline regression. I think that this thing is going to be going up for a while, man. This is good. This is fucking good. But again, in early November, I actually would probably expect a bit of a pullback, even down to like 229. That's completely fine in my opinion, though. Anyways, Gray's Golf says, been a silent follower since 2018. Hell fucking yes, sir. I learned TA from your playlist, and after 6 months of paper trading, 10x to real account. Fucking yes! My strategy works, but emotions and overconfidence still lead to big losses. Yeah, this is where most people fuck it up. So, you're definitely not alone in that regard. But you've done honestly the hardest portion of the work, which is working out the strategy and figuring out that works. Your issue, as you are stating, at least what I'm gathering from it, is about execution. Anyways, you go on to say, I reset, regain consistency, then repeat the same emotional cycle. I want to try your trading bot, but love trading myself. Should I step back entirely or automate to remove emotions from the process? So I think, again, I'm just using your own answer as guidance because that's all that I really have in this sense. Look, you're saying it yourself. You want to trade, you love trading yourself, but you naturally have an issue with it. And it's because you're getting emotional. And one of the reasons why trading is so addicting in a way is because it heightens your emotions. When you both gain and lose money, you are experiencing a heightened emotional state, and you get kind of addicted to that in a way. Like it's very stimulating, and that's kind of what you're going after. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want to make money or do I want to play a video game? Because if you want to make money, it seems to me that the easiest solution to your issue is to use something that would get rid of that execution issue, because you've already got the strategy. You've already done the hard work. Like that's the fucking hard part. So if you truly have a real strategy, and when I say a real strategy, I mean your strategy is based off of objective signals that can actually be implemented into a bot, like because our quant prime service requires that it's all very objectively based on indicator value outputs, on a closing basis typically. Then look, if the goal is to make money, I'll just go with that and get rid of that and just fucking solve that issue. And again, you can try Quant Prime for free for 7 days. So there's no, there's really no strings attached with that. If you find that your strategy won't work with that, or if it won't execute exactly as you want, because there can be some issues with that. Again, if it's not based off of objective indicator outputs, particularly on the closure of any trading time frame period. But if you just want to play the video game and this is like kind of like a hobby for you, and you kind of treat it as like sports gambling, then I don't know, man, just fucking don't bet more than you can afford to lose. Because if that's what you want to be your vice, then that's what you want to be your vice. I'm not here to be your fucking dad and tell you not to do that. I think it's silly, but yeah, that's what I'd say about that, man. Again, the answer is in your question, and most of the time, like answers or questions like this already have the answers embedded within them. It's like, you know what would be the right thing to do if the goal, again, is to make money. Now, if you just want to continue to work on yourself emotionally, I guess it can be valuable in that way as well. That is one of the values of learning trading, but you could also get that in other facets as well, man, where you're not necessarily like, risking your financial accounts. For me, I'd prefer not to do that. But yeah, anyways, more power to you, man. And good to actually, finally talk with someone who's been here since 2018, man. It's going to be 8 years soon. 8 fucking years soon. Amazing. I love it. Music Tag says, watch since 2020. Hell yes. Can you check out Zen on the daily? I can. Oh yes. This is the privacy coin that's going to do a Zcash, right? Let's see. Yeah, so I don't know if it was you who asked about it last. I know someone asked about it on Monday, and I said, hey, this is as good a place as any right here on the weekly time frame to put in the next lower high. I guess the hopium is that people are looking for this thing to pull a Zcash because they're privacy coins, and they also start with Z, which is a really, that's my, what do people say? That's my thesis. I fucking hate that word, thesis. If you use thesis in the context of your stupid, degenerate gambling strategy, go fuck yourself because you're an idiot. No, I'm kidding. I'm being so judgmental. I'm being such an asshole, but it is what it is, man. I'm just getting older. I'm sorry to say, but yeah. Anyways, looking at this right here, weekly time frame. I don't have any reason to believe that this thing's going to do a Zcash. Unless we have insider information that it's going to do something like that. This is the perfect place for it to top out yet again probably for eternity. But here's the thing. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be massively wrong. And you'll know very easily if I'm going to be wrong because you'll see closures above that white 200 simple. That is where this thing likes to put in those macro highs for the last year or two. So if you can reclaim that, I think that you could be in for a pretty decent rally into the 20s. But even then, I think the real hope is that you do something like this. You go and do that. It does happen every once in a blue moon. We saw it happen with Zcash, so it is possible, but it is certainly the exception to the rule. Absolutely, by a long shot. So to think like something like that is going to happen to some random other shitcoin, it's really just over indexing on what I think is kind of a white swan, if anything. If I'm a betting man, I'd be saying, oh, this is a great place for another lower high, and it's already gone up, 2x from the lows just a few weeks ago. So, I don't think it's that crazy to think. Also coming off of the monthly 55 EMA, it's never wise, in my opinion, to be betting on long-term upside for anything in the crypto market that's not named Bitcoin. To be honest. Ethereum, kind of, but even then, that's not been a good bet this cycle. It's not been a good bet at all, really. Again, when you measure things against Bitcoin, it's almost impossible to beat from cycle to cycle. Only BNB has beaten it from cycle to cycle in terms of value gained. And I got a lot of fucking skepticism on that one, but hey, results are results at the end of the day, so can't argue against it. Cloud to Busy or Cloud to Bussy says, GM sir, what's up, man? Shop on NASDAQ. Nice. We got some real stonks coming out here. And then we'll get into the regular chats. What do you know? It's an up market. It's crazy. It's like, this is what the crypto people actually would love if they just opened up their eyes to traditional markets. Again, it's very difficult for me not to be bullish on traditional markets right now. I guess the one counterpoint to what I'm saying is that, look, you just retested your prior all-time high. Very often you pull back after retesting an all-time high, but I wouldn't look at that as like we're reversing back into a downtrend. No, I think that this thing is breaking out. It's mature enough. It's ready. Quarterly's good to go here as well. I think that this thing is going to continue to make new all-time highs into the end of this year. If you do get pullbacks in the short term, I think they're just going to be that short-term pullbacks. You didn't even ask about a daily time frame, but I feel compelled to look at it. If it did pull back in the short term, you've got higher lows at like 163, 164 region. It's completely fine. I'd just be generally bullish on this thing as long as you're above Tuesday, the 14th of October's low, which is the price action pivot of 145.25. Really no more complicated than that, man. Just let it do its thing. Let the trend be your friend. It wants to be your friend. It wants to hold your hand. It wants to kiss you. It wants to make out with you like a good bro. And you just need to let it happen, sir. You just need to let it happen. Anyways, Elsa doesn't like my homosexuality being displayed. Anyways, let's go see what else we got on the chats here. What's up, Jeff B? Jeff B says, everything's fine. That's the fire emoji. Gets fired off in the backgrounds. Let's go back to Bitcoin here. Like I said, if I have to choose direction in the short term, I guess to the downside. I just don't feel very strongly about it right now. If I do go and check out this indicator, it did fire off the purple dots of death. It's not really of death, but usually fires off when you're at like a major or like a local high. So yeah. All right. Crypto Sharknado. I actually was watching Sharknado the other day. Honestly, not a very good movie. Like, not even just well produced. I've heard a lot about it. I had high expectations, but Solana Bitcoin here. Sure, we can look at daily, weekly. Daily, actually, this kind of does look like it wants to try some upside from here. See what a weekly looks like. Expect the same thing on a weekly. I would be actually looking at this as attempting to put in a higher low as long as it's basically above this week's low. I think there is potential for that to pop back up towards 21,500-ish region. This local high right here. Again, it's not really wise to be betting on an actual uptrend versus its Bitcoin pairing, but and if it's going to reject, this is the fucking place for it to reject from. Makes it difficult. But if I had to call direction, I actually would say probably pops back up towards like 19, maybe even 20,000 Satoshis. With potential for retesting this high over here. But other than that, man, I'd be extremely quick to get very bearish on this thing if it even just traded back below this week's low. And at that point, I think that you're destined to come back down to your summer lows and, at some point beyond there as well. Again, am I really contemplating this thing zooming back up here? No, I'm not. I think it either gets back up here or it just turns down from here. But either which way, man, it's just not wise to be betting on shitcoins versus Bitcoin. So yeah. Anyways. All right. Let's see. Do you own any Ethereum? No, I don't. I'm not saying that like you shouldn't own it or nothing like that. I just don't own it. Don't care about it. Don't want to. I look at it at the same way as I look at like a highly speculative technology company. And if I'm going to invest in technology companies, I'd rather do that in traditional markets rather than crypto markets. There's no transparency in these things. You don't get fucking earnings reports and nothing like this. So for me, it's not investable. But again, I'm not saying that you can't make money with it. You might be wildly successful with it. In fact, I hope that you are. It's just for me, that's a no-go. Let's see what else we got. Thank you, Alevila or Alevia. What do you think of Wild Goat Coin? It's probably extremely bullish, and you should absolutely mortgage your house and leverage long your longs. GM sir, could you check out AVNT, new launch perp dex? Oh god. Well, these are kind of like you meant this thing. Yeah. It was going to be a stock, but it's actually terrible. Just terrible. Down only. It's down only. It's down. This is your all-time high probably for forever. It's down only. It's down only. Mr. Gallo just said it perfectly right there. Just look, if you're looking for long-term investments in the crypto space, just buy Bitcoin. I am really starting to get fucking orange pilled over time, man. I think that saying, stay humble and stack sats, like if you just want to be a long-term investor, just fucking do that. Like you don't need to be perfect with it. You're going to be fine long-term. Yeah. that chart will not be fine long term. That is garbage long term, and even in the short term, it's probably coming back down. Money says you can learn a lot from Krown. He said he once said if you watch the live streams and content for 6 months straight, you could learn a lot. You have to be consistent though. I mean, the live streams I think can be useful perhaps, but I also have like free playlists on just sort of TA basics, TA 101 type stuff. And I think that's a really good place for anyone new to start off with. It'll give you a very basic understanding, but at least a good baseline knowledge of technical analysis. It's not gonna, make you a professional or anything like that. No, it's fucking free series geared towards complete noobs, but it'll get you somewhere. It'll get you somewhere. And most people really don't need to go super deep into this stuff. They really don't. For the most part, 99% of people are just best off being long-term investors, just buying and holding, not even thinking about selling for, years and years and years and years and years. The KeyBap God says WU stock. I can't say I've seen this one before. It's Western Union, of course. For the long term. I mean, I think that you have a major low right here, and I think you're going to continue up a little bit more, like at least 10 and a half bucks, something like that. I don't like it, obviously. I mean, this is a terrible chart long term, but I do think that you have some upside from here. You do have some bullish divergence come off this last low. If things get really crazy, like super crazy, full on parabolic bull market in the broad market, I think that this thing could maybe go to like 13-ish. Give or take a little bit from that number. But for right now, yeah, short-term continuation at least. Long-term, hate it. Short-term, yeah, up. It'll provide an understanding of, yeah, basically that. It's not gonna make you pro, obviously. That requires a shit ton of dedication and literal just time spent, Roulette, not roulette. Nah. I understand. Bill's Farm, XRP, XLM. Oh, God. The Bill's Farm guy? Oh, then I'll just not answer his question. Yeah, no spamming. Statistics are not probability. A strategy can die or an asset can go to shit even with the best strategy. Don't you think sometimes looking at past ticks are just hopium? Then you'd have to explain Mr. Gallo. See, oh, God, this shit drives me nuts. Because the answer to these questions is so obvious. It's so obvious, man. It's so obvious. If that didn't work, then you'd have to explain why it continues to work in real time. Like, just think about it for 5 seconds, man. Think about it for 5 seconds. If that was true, you would never expect it to work again, or at least not continue to play out similar statistics to that. In fact, we find the opposite. Now, if you weren't finding that in real time compared to past times, then you probably just have a bad strategy that was overfitted. Definitely possible, absolutely. But you will notice with many of the strategies that I focus on here, I want to look for strategies that have similar results over time because that is further evidence that it actually is legitimate. So yeah. Anyways, as always, the answer is to look at results. Look at the results because that's what matters at the end of the day anyways, right? So yeah. It works with risk management. I mean, it works it can work in many regards. But yeah, of course risk management is going to be a part of the pen to begin with. So I think that they're kind of one and the same personally, but yeah. Anyways, hate from Mannheim. Where's Mannheim? Where the hell is that? Maybe Germany. Sounds German. I'm gonna take another sip of this water. Ziggy Henry says, do you DCA into Bitcoin periodically or do you wait for discounted levels? I'm trying to figure out what I should do. It's a really good question, man. It's a really, really good question. So it's a 2-2 or all good. I always love Gallo, man. He's great. Okay, so do you DCA into Bitcoin periodically or do you wait for discounted levels? So for long-term, for specifically long-term holds, I'll tell you exactly what I've resolved to do after studying this and creating strategies around this and really going deep into the statistics long-term. I can tell you without a shred of doubt that it is extremely fucking difficult to beat weekly DCA on Bitcoin over the long term, even if we just like the last 10 years, even if we omit all of the early years, which had absolutely insane and unrealistic results. But even in the past, 5 years, it's extremely difficult to beat Bitcoin on a weekly DCA. So what I've resolved to do for my long-term holds is I continue to weekly DCA, but very small amounts, like very, very small amounts. And then when we get a big move to the downside, when I say big move to the downside for Bitcoin, I mean 15% or more from the last major high, then I hammer it. I hammer it big time with bigger bids. Again, these are for very long-term holds. These are not for trading positions. These are not even intended to be profitable positions, in some cases for a while. But I can say, yeah, that's what I do long-term. That's what I do long-term. And then also, just for example, you know, when I was referencing this indicator here, what I'll start to do in the future and what I really want to attune this indicator for is when we get those cyan dots, that's when I also want to go in heavy as well. And those typically do happen at like major lows anyways. So yeah, CWK says 30% through Krown's trading Bible. Didn't know how much I didn't know. Best investment ever. I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much for that. It's almost like a subtle shill comment, but yeah, man, you know, I make that program for the people who really do want to go much deeper and, you know, perhaps want to do this as a living. But I'm really starting to, I really want to start to focus more and more on long-term investing sort of content. And while trading will always matter and always be a part of this, I want to focus things into like two different categories. There's basically income generating activities and then investment or wealth generating activities. Trading is an income generating activity. It's great, you know, if you need to like make money for, you know, daily liquidity expenses, or daily expenses. I don't know why I shoved liquidity into that one. Now I'm falling under the same sort of disease where I just use liquidity in every fucking sentence. But yeah, for that. But really, when you want to build wealth, the idea is just take all the excess income that you make that isn't needed for real necessary expenses and shove that into real assets. And, you know, there is, of course, a rhyme and reason to be investing in certain assets over others. You know, I think the obvious ones here are going to be Bitcoin, gold, and the major indices, particularly technology indices. That's kind of my general overview. But yeah, man. So I'm going to be adding a lot of content in the future regarding long-term investing into that program. Right now, there's just a little bit in there, but I really wanted to encompass everything so that I can say that this is at least the only program that I'm aware of that really does try to attack all different facets of this equation. But yeah, man, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Cool. Yeah, I mean, and look, Ziggy, that's just what I do, man. That's just what I do based off of my situation, because I do have income coming in, so you know I can allocate a lot to that, you know, on a week-to-week basis. But still, I think that you could do it at any level. You just need some amount of excess income above your expenses, and so that's why you know, I think the biggest disease of today's world is just living above your means, because that basically cuts into your ability to invest. And if you can't invest as much as you could, then you are losing out on long-term wealth. I mean, it just is, man. It just is. Joey Burden says useless 4-hour and daily. Sure, man. Useless. All right, the useless crypto. This one's still hanging in there, to be fair. I can't be bearish on it until it comes back down below 25.5 cents and closes below there. At that point, yeah, this red circle becomes extremely likely. Until then, you know, could turn around here a little bit, I guess. It's just, do I want to be bullish on something that's called a useless coin long term? Probably not. You know, betting on long-term failure is very likely to be the right call. But yeah, I can't be bearish on it until it breaks this pivot right here. Until then, I guess there's some hopium, sure. Maybe the 4-hour time frame will reveal something. 4-hour time frame is caught between a downtrend on your made movement averages and also the support of the 200 simple right here. Whichever way it breaks there first is going to be the direction. To the upside, I wouldn't declare it broken in the short term until it breaks back above 30.5 cents. And at that point, I think you could actually get a pretty decent rally back up towards, you know, 38, maybe even 40 cents. You know, it'd be a big move. Gunnar says, when you show P&L curves for quantum wave bands, is that plotted against Bitcoin or USD? It's plotted against USD. It's denominated in USD. I can show you right now. You could, if you want, denominate it in Bitcoin. You could definitely do that. TradingView does allow for that option, but I prefer not to, just because like my brain can't. I still look at things in US dollar valuations, and my brain, like, it's just too many years of doing the same thing. My brain can't accurately interpret the Bitcoin valuation because, well, it just changes so much over time. But yeah, when we are looking at this right here, again, this is denominated in USD. If it was Bitcoin, it would literally say Bitcoin, but we could put it in Bitcoin. And I guess it would be higher because if you're, if you're making money in Bitcoin over here on the equity curve, in the early days, well, Bitcoin's significantly higher over here. So whatever Bitcoins you did earn over here are going to be worth a significant amount more in US dollar over here. So I guess it would make this like much higher, I suppose. But yeah. Anyways. Yeah, Western consumerism, keeping up with the Jones. Yeah. It really is a thing, man. Like, I used to think that it was just a joke that people would do that, because like who would actually fucking do that? But it really is a thing, man. It really is a thing. People really do seem to care about more or less just like doing better than their neighbor. I guess it's human nature, I don't know. I don't feel that way myself, or at least, I don't know, maybe I'm not around like people who are doing enough better than me to feel that way. I don't know. But I just don't feel that way. I feel very content. To be honest with you, man. I like playing the game. I love playing the game. To me, this is all a game. It's a game, and you get a direct measurement of your level of success every fucking second as you see your your net worth move around. Yeah. Anyways, Legendary Lead says Ethereum daily weekly Wyckoff distribution. I don't know. I'm really hesitant still to say that this is bearish. For me, it's all about the quarterly here, because the quarterly is the most obvious chart for Ethereum, and it's also the highest term time frame that you can make some sense out of for Ethereum. And as long as it's above that 34.67 low, I don't really want to get bearish on it. This just looks like a perfect retest to me, and likely to try higher. Maybe not this quarter, but maybe next quarter in early 2026. I think that's possible. In the short term, do I think that it's a downwards bias here? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's another lower high on hidden bearish divergence, on low volatility. I have to be biased with this thing coming back down to like 37. But still, 37 is not below that 34.67 low. I'm not saying that it can't go below that. It's just I need to see that before I like really go, oh shit, this thing is, oh snap, it's really breaking down. Something like that, man. The hedonic treadmill is worse compared to holding shitcoin. I don't. Maybe I don't know. Both are pretty bad. both suck a lot, man. Let's see. RZ Cowboy says XCL. Sure, man. XCL. I'm guessing this is some random shitcoin, right? Yes, of course. X seller. And Gecko literally has gone down only. Amazing. Oh, snap. It's already wrecked. Yeah, man. It's already garbage. Are you looking for a bullish analysis on this? First off, it's way too new to do any sort of real analysis on. But if I had to do an analysis on it, it would be down only with short-term pops here and there. MicroStrategy. Yeah, let's look at MicroStrategy daily, weekly. Check it out. See what we got here. Down, down, down. But that's a 4-hour time frame, so who cares? Daily time frame. Am I going to get my 270? I think I am. It really does look like it's poised to move to the downside here. Yeah, I do want to see it test like 265. Something like that. And now that I recognize it, I did not see this before, but the quarterly does have regular bearish divergence on it, and that would not be great. That would actually be really nasty too. I mean, that would be really nasty if it plays out. I'm not gonna lie, like that would be really fucking ugly. But for now, I'm just looking a little bit more down, like 265, 264, something like that, man. Let's see. Oh, right. Tyler Paris says, you have to look into the actual case utility behind XCL. That's right, man. Let me guess. Its utility is to enrich its founders who have absolutely zero clue or zero care to enact their goals. Even if they are trying to enact their goals, then they're most likely to fail because almost every business fucking fails within a year anyways. And even of the businesses that do not fail within their first year, most of them do not even turn a profit for many years. So yeah, man, I can look at the chart though and say, it seems to me it's down only. It's probably going to continue to be down only. You might get pops here and there, like I said, but I wouldn't expect it to reverse, man. Garbage will be garbage, sir. Garbage will be garbage. And again, I'm not calling you garbage, man. you're probably just new to the space and you probably are getting swept up in the hysteria of looking at a white paper, which means absolutely fuck all. It's basically just a marketing pitch. It doesn't mean shit, man. It doesn't mean shit. And look, the probability of any crypto to succeed is less than 0.01% because almost none of them do. Almost none of them do. Like, for real. Literally none of them do. XCL protocol is released based on privacy. Look deeper into the... Oh, God. Oh, yes. Oh, it's private. No way. It's privacy. Amazing. Let me see what other privacy coins have done. Yes. How about Zen tokens? My Zen tokens are private, right? Wait, what? Wait. Oh, snap. They're going down. What the fuck is this, man? What the fuck is this? It's private, though. I looked into the project and it's private. It's private and it's going down. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? I read the white paper and they told me it was private. They have privacy features and it's going down. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Oh, fuck. Let's get a list of privacy coins and look at them. See how they've done. Let's do it this way. All right. All right. We're doing our research. We're going to do our research. XMR. Oh, Dashcoin. Dashers. I remember Dashers. Oh, snap! Down! Hold on. Let's not be too hasty here. It's a privacy coin, okay? It's a privacy coin, so it can't be down that. What the fuck? 97%? Oh, fuck! What else do we have? BDX coin. Oh, snap! It's not even the right one. No, it is the right one. And it's also garbage. Holy shit. Down 54%. Amazing. Fucking amazing. How about, Rose? Rose has privacy features. Rose coin. My Rose tokens. My tokens! Oh, my tokens! I'm gonna take my tokens and go to Chuck E. Cheese. What the fuck? It's going down only again! Oh, snap! 98% down! But it's private, man! It's private! SCRT coin. Surely this one's gonna be the one. Oh, snap! Oh, snap, snap, snap! What is this? My privacy tokens are down 98.5%! Verge will definitely be up. I know this one because it was amazing in 2017. Oh, snap! Down again! But it's private! I heard on a YouTube comment, it's private! All right, my voice can't take any more of these privacy coins, so yeah, I'm looking deeply into these projects, man. Tell me why yours is any fucking different than these pieces of shit. Oh, snap! David says, Apple Weekly. Are we topping out? Your take. I don't know. I haven't looked at an Apple in a while. Oh, snap! That's what a good chart looks like. Must have privacy features. Very private. This is good, man. Topping out. How is this topping out, man? It's literally up only. It's breaking out like right fucking now. It depends what time frame you're on. Okay, you're on a weekly. No, this is not topping out. Not topping out, man. This is a breakout with your last higher low at 244. This is good. I'm looking for this thing to go up to 300 in like the next 6 months. Crypto Shart says, please yell at us more. Syrup daily. Well, is it private or not? I need to know. Oh, snap! No privacy features here. Yeah, I think it's entering into the downtrend of destiny. It's now being held by the 200 simple. All major movement averages are nearly in a complete bearish posturing. A few more closures than they will be, very likely. I think the down-only trend is beginning. The privacy features must have failed or something on this one. Damn. ZEC is privacy done right? Do your research. It is one of the only ones that actually has had a nice move. Let's see how it's done now. Let's see if it's starting to show signals of toppiness. It might be. It might be. It might be. But yeah, man, I mean, Zcash was even able to fool Naval. So I don't know. I don't know if they succeeded. I just think that they have probably better marketing. Yeah, they buy the privacy coins on a computer monitored by the NSA. Yeah, like it's so private, nobody even knows how bullish it is. It's so private. Cardano, we could look at Cardano. I imagine it has about the same chart as Link or something. Ow, snap, down. Yeah, hidden bearish divergence. I don't know, probably back down here somewhere like 62 cents. If you can actually break below last Tuesday's low, then I'd look for this thing to have like an actual shot down to low 50s. But I don't know. For now, it's like it's still a range between 95 cents to the upside versus 55 to the downside. So it's like I don't think you're going to really get much outside of there. Probably next test to the downside though, but I don't think it's going to break down really. Live City says, "Hi Krown, privacy coin, Litecoin, ETF exchanges, anything? Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Other narrative. But it's going to have an ETF. That means people have to buy it, right? No, there actually has to be demand for it. I don't know. I mean, Litecoin, like it's the same shit as Cardano, as Link, as Dogecoin. All these things have kind of the same chart, in like the past year or 2 years maybe. I don't know. I really don't know in the short term. If I had to call it, it'd be to the downside in the short term, but I don't feel strong about that, man. Like this thing's holding it up a little bit better than the last few ones we looked at. If it could trade above yesterday's high, I'd be looking for this thing to make like an actual move up to 120. But it's like, do I think it's going to break back above these highs in the short term? No. Do I think it's going to break below like $85 in the short term? Also no. I think you're range bound for a while. It's honestly kind of a hard one for me in the short term. Like I'm not getting any like super obvious signals. If I had to call it, probably down to 85 or 86 again, but I don't think it's going to break down. I think you're going to bounce again. Backtest Boogie says, "Good morning, Krown. What's up, man? Gold on the 15-minute. That's a very low term time frame, but we can do that. 15-minute time frame, short term. I'd be looking for another pop back up towards the 40-30 high. Probably some. No, there is no divergences there, but I do think it pops back up here. It is a higher low after all. Can we get a Balkan Dwarf update? I'm actually curious to see where that one's at, if it's still on TradingView. It is on TradingView. That is a surprise. Where is it now? Oh, snap. Privacy features failed. David says, "Any recommendations what platform to trade stocks?" Okay, you need to be very specific. Do you want to actually trade actively stocks like day trading, or do you want to like invest? If you want to invest, I think the big three are going to be your Vanguard, your Schwab, your Fidelity. If you want to trade actively, then I don't know, Interactive Brokers is probably still going to be one of the most tried and true of the venues. It just depends what you're trying to do, man. Why own silver when you can own gold? I don't think Litecoin is silver, man. If Litecoin was silver, I think it'd be a lot more interesting to potentially even hold. Like I'd actually consider it. Here's silver. Silver is actually has made new ultimas and is pulling back, which we did say was very, very likely from this move. I'm not bearish on it, but I do think it comes down significantly from here. I think it comes down to like maybe even 38, 36, but I don't know. I'm not saying like it's going to fucking reverse into a downtrend. Just a lot of downside there. Why own gold when you can have balls, says Elwood Bulsar. Fair enough. Crypto Shard says, Cowan says dominance go up. I don't think dominance matters, man. Look at your favorite shitcoin versus Bitcoin, and that will, as always, be the best indication. Because look, like dominance has been coming down for the past few months. Have you seen shitcoins really go up? No, you haven't. It just doesn't show you what you want it to show you. Tau daily weekly, yeah, we can look at that. I'm guessing it's definitely going up. Very likely private as well. Yeah, so last we looked at it, the last couple times we looked at it, I said this is very likely going to be a local high and it comes back down. But I do want to acknowledge here, I actually do think, based off of the last move, this one actually might be a real reversal now, because you do have a higher low in place there. It did bottom out on the 21 EMA, so that's actually not terrible in the short term. There is a real chance that this thing actually could push through and reverse to the upside and make a move towards like 580, $600. But still, the price to confirm that is the same. It would be back above basically last week's high. Or on the other side, I would confirm an easy breakdown if this thing came back down and closed below about 380. At that point, I think this thing's going to come back down well below $300. It's probably better to bet on it going down long term, to be fair. But yeah, I do want to be respectful of this higher low right here, because it is a higher low, and that very well could be a real reversal. I mean, I don't want to be too hasty here, to be honest. So there is actually a chance on this one. There is actually a chance right there. I knew a Litecoin miner. He mined it for 5 years and dumped it all because it's crap. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not disagreeing with you. Look, I don't know if it's crap or not, but the way that I understood Litecoin, or at least from the fundamental experts who I trust to understand that kind of stuff, what was I going to say? Yeah, they said that the main value in Litecoin is basically as a test net for Bitcoin features in the future, which actually made a lot of sense to me, but that still wouldn't be very valuable, to be fair. So yeah, what's up, Cav, man? What up, wankers? Litecoin is still considered the silver of Bitcoin. I don't think by anyone besides you, sir, or at least no one that I've not heard that narrative in a very long time, and it's obviously not working as well. More importantly, it doesn't seem to be working. You can say it's the silver to Bitcoin's gold, but it doesn't seem to be playing out that way. That's the issue. You don't like Webull, says Gallo. It's not that I don't like Webull. I just think interactive brokers is just much more well established. So if I want to do active day trading, that's where I do it. I'd rather go with a more established broker, just because there's no shortage of stories, nightmare stories with these sort of platforms. What else do we have? Review my portfolio, sir. 1,300 gallons of Jack Daniels, 1,028 ounce cans of beef, 450 pounds of frozen beef, 2,000 gallons of stainless steel tank of water, diesel fuel. I think you're good to go for like the next 30 years, man. You might kill yourself with the amount of Jack Daniels that you hold, but other than that, I think you actually have a pretty good prepper. Harlots aren't expensive non-investments. Caretaker laying it down as usual. It is definitely the silver to Bitcoin, sir. Again, if it was like silver, so let's look at silver really quickly here, because silver actually does have real use. It's used in a lot of computer components and stuff like that. Silver has made new all-time highs consistently from cycle to cycle, and it's actually made new all-time highs recently. When was the last time Litecoin made new all-time highs? Actually, it did so in 2021, which is a surprise. Never has, did close on new all-time highs there as well, but yeah. I'd have to say I'm not convinced myself. Dan Robertson says, the creator of Litecoin, which I believe is Charlie Lee, said a few weeks ago that he wishes he did not create Litecoin and just bought Bitcoin. Yeah, I think I heard something similar to that as well, but I can't verify that statement. Yeah, man, like, I do remember back in 2017 when Litecoin actually had like a big narrative behind it as being silver to Bitcoin's gold. Charlie Lee was like talking shit about it at that time as well, and I think he sold a bunch of it as well at the highs, and like basically let people know. But still, you have people, random commenters on YouTube who are like, no, dude, I swear it's really good. It's silver to Bitcoin's gold. I swear. Please buy my bags, please. Could you buy my bags, please? I need to buy my. Nice. All right. Pikachu is a silver to Charizard. I guess that is also true. I think it's more like Magikarp is a silver to Charizard's gold. Something like that, man. All good, Asti. All good. He also sold his Litecoin back in the day. Yeah, okay, so that's what I'm remembering. That was in 2017. He sold his Litecoin. I didn't know that he bought Bitcoin after that, but yeah, I do remember that. Charlie Ree. Yes, Charlie Ree. They're like a margin position, carry costs, large risk. I don't know what I'm probably reading this out of context here. But yeah, I think we're at the end of the comments. I think we are all cashed out on this current stream. It's been another fun stream. I've been really enjoying these. Looking forward to the Friday stream. But like I said, today, you know, if I had to call things just based off of technicals, it would be short-term downside. Hopefully plays out this target over here and just gets that out of the way. So I would, you know, just rip off the fucking Band-Aid, right? But it's an event day. So do I trust TA and technicals on a day like today? No. Do I trust higher term time frame stuff? Yes. That would be the higher term time frame stuff. Basically, back above yesterday's high, look for a move to 120. Until then, my guess it's a short-term downside bias. I suppose we shall see. We shall have more clarity on the situation by tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow is also going to be another event as well. You got the China talks going on. So markets will move as usual. If I get my wish, if I were to get my wish, it would be something like this. Rip off that Band-Aid, come back down here, something like that. Set in a slightly lower low, get everyone super fucking scared. Bounce quickly off of a Trump tweet, which probably actually very likely. Come back down, retest that low, beautifully bounce off there, and then up. That would be the most bullish thing possible into the end of December. Perfectly timing this as well. Anyways, we will end things right there. As always, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. Take care. Much love. The XCL Mafia is very mad on Twitter because we have spoken badly about their project. But I'm sorry, man. I'm just letting you know my own views. It's a garbage chart. And I wish you well in your endeavors.